Good morning. This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. If you have any questions about the room, this is how you get a hold of me. Um, tradeandperform@gmail.com. So, a couple of things to start the day. Number one, the setups, right? So, you'll notice, let's just address the elephant in the room. I'm personally struggling a little bit more than the rest of the room on getting my trades executed well. I don't know why I'm being so bothered, or I'm working really hard to get my A game back, per se, but I am struggling a little bit right now. So it's important. I went through my patterns from the last actually 3 years, and this is the pattern I follow because I went back and mapped it. So I know. I start to struggle. Usually it's in summertime, right? Earlier in the summertime, the summer's been really good to this point, right? Like it's really been a great summer, trading wise. So then what I do, and you can ask Bill, I go and go, well, let's pull out CL and GC, right? And UB and all the others, right? And go, let's go find trades over there, right? So I go, I get everyone all on the same page. I work through everyone through the paces. These are the setups. I do a ton of work. I feel better because I'm doing a lot of, I personally feel better because I'm doing a lot of work. And in my head, I'm guiding everyone towards profitability, right? It takes me about a month to get everyone on the same page. And then I go, well, shit, ES and NQ are rocking again. Let's forget about those, right? That's my pattern for at least the last 3 years. Okay. Um, and most of y'all just have set up processes for dealing with me when I do that, right? So I'm going to try it different this year. I'm struggling. I struggle with the slow pace, right? And it's gotten really slow the last 2 days, 3 days, right? And I blew a great trade yesterday. Great. Yesterday morning. I didn't take the apex trap. I did not stay on process. I chose not to take the third trade, and I was frustrated. Way too early in the day, and it was a 100-point trade, right? And I'll show it to you in just a second. So this is what I'm doing this year. I'm going to sit. I'm going to sit in the discomfort, right? And I'm going to sit in the discomfort of just working through the problem slowly and the anxieties that I have to go with that, right? And I'm going to stay on process the best I can. My concession to this is I'm going to cut trade size so I don't feel as anxious in my own account in particular. Because waiting for it while you're sitting with a lot of size and waiting, 10, 15 minutes for that lift is just anxiety producing for me, right? So I'm cutting my leverage, right? And I'm making it a competition. Can I get through this period of time, right? Can I make it through this period of time to recognize when the good PA comes back so that I'll know when to ramp up my trade size again and maybe discover some new edge. I was talking a little bit about that with Bill yesterday, right? Discover a little bit of new edge, maybe look at it from a different way and push my trading to get better. Maybe I'll actually be a good trader of a slow market by the time it finishes. But what I'm not going to do is draw down, blow up my accounts, crush myself, financially, or hopefully emotionally either, right? And then I'll just lead by example by going, hey, sometimes it's harder for whatever reason that you're having a hard time, and just stay with the process. So I did everything, including, this morning I didn't want to get in the ice bath. I didn't want to work out. I didn't want to do any of the breathing, any of that, because I'm like, well, it's not working. It's not helping me, right? And that's exactly the trick is, it goes back to what I tell y'all. I'm trying to demand something from the market that the market doesn't want to give me right now. What I want the market to do is give me 50 to 80 point up and down rotations that are fast. And it doesn't want to do that right now. And I'm pretty much throwing a fit because it doesn't, right? Okay, so that's first step. Step number two, how's the process working? Because look, we go through cycles, right? I'm going to draw this out real quick. When the market is fast, the market will push up, come down. We get the signal. There is no retrace, and it shoots up, right? Straight like that, and it's a very quick process, okay? But now the process has gone like this. We open up, chop, 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 chop. We come down, come up, come down, come up, come down. Then buyers finally kind of hang out here for a second. They decide they have to cover, and they slow grind it, not quick, but slow grind it all the way up to target, right? So when I see this, I'm like, run for the hills, right? That's me, because normally in these little sub rotations, okay, it actually does this same pattern in when the market is fast. But the difference is when the market is fast, these rotations look like this. Instead of being small like this, they do this. They open, you get triggered, comes all the way up, comes all the way back, get another trigger, comes all the way up, comes all the way back, triggers again. That's the sweet one. And then it shoots like this, right? So these are 20 to 40, 20 to 40, and then 100, right? Instead, what we're getting, and instead what we're getting is 10 to 20, 10 to 20, 10 to 20. It's like getting cut in half, maybe 30, right? And so I'm sitting there waiting for my, go. I burnt, in order to get the entry, I burnt 15 or 20 points. And then I'm trying to get it to give me another 15 or 20 points. And it's just reversing, coming back and stopping it out, right? Initially. So that's the problem in a nutshell, right? It's not where I'm taking the trades or the process hasn't worked. The rotations have gotten collapsed, right? So how do I deal with this? Well, you'll see what I've done, right? So if I go back to look at yesterday morning, let me erase the lines here. How am I doing? I have 10 minutes. I'm all right. And while that loads, didn't like that. Give it just a second. On econ, we have nothing. We got the oil. We got oil at 9:30 as normal, and FOMC at 1 o'clock. Those are the drivers. Okay, so if you look at yesterday morning on NQ, so here's the open, right? And it did again, when you look back in the rearview mirror and you know your process, it's very easy to see what you're missing, right? So I don't remember if I got this or not. I don't remember if I took it, but that was perfect. Purple bar, triangle up, right? This is nothing. I don't think anyone got stopped here, right, on the 24 tick. And then this is star down, triangle up. They were equal, so I don't take it. It's got to beat it. It just lifted a little bit, it came back. This is purple bar with plus sign, okay? I got frustrated. I lost my cool right here, right? I'm not sure why I allowed myself to do that, but I lost my cool. I took a stop there. Oh, I know what happened. I took this trade. It took too long to lift. Actually, I do now. Hold on. Let me go back to my journal real quick. Okay, I know what happened now. I took this trade. I sat in it for 10 minutes. I tried to be very patient. It didn't lift, and I closed it out for -2. I took this trade, lost 22 on it, I think. I did take this trade, so this trade got taken away from me. This trade, well, it got taken away, I gave it back. And then I got flustered with this, and so I went off process. And what I should have done, right, so this is what I should have done is I was correct here. Good decision number one. 1, 2, 3. I followed process for 1, 2, 3, right? This took too long. And so one area I wrote is I don't have a crystal clear right now how long I'm willing to sit in the trade before it's wrong. So what happened was I elected that after 10 minutes it's too long. So I flatted the trade, right? Even though, and the stop was down here and it went to profit. That was agitation number one. This is agitation number two. I take the trade here, and what I visualized when I took this trade is that we were coming here like this, okay? Stop. When I got stopped, I lost my cool instead of staying on process and going, next trade is apex trap. And when you get apex trap, purple bar on the 24 at the bottom, which is very, very strong, as I demonstrated it yesterday, and then plus sign up. And then I sat it and watched it grind all the way up to here, right? So with that, that was an entry. So remember, I'm pretty much flat on the day here, down slightly. If I enter properly, right, that's 15,131 to 15,02, 15,209. That's $1,600 a contract potentially if I did it perfect. And I know I wouldn't have done it perfect. I would have scaled out of it, right? I would have let some of it come back, etc., etc. But that's my day in a nutshell, right? I sat there long after this just stewing, right? I couldn't figure out how to make the rest of the trades work. But the fact of the matter is, when I go back and coach myself on this, this was the entry. It was at the proper time. There was nothing wrong with it. And then on top of that, I really wanted it out of the purple area. Here's the funny thing about the purple area. If I go to the end of the day, it did it again. Look, it goes purple bar, plus sign. So I usually don't trade the last hour. So with that caveat out of the way, it would have worked the same way, but stop, apex trap on a purple bar plus sign, which is very high odds. My entry, so I should have been minus 22 here, and then I should have been long right here, which would have given me a 9.4 to all the way up. Well, that was the following morning, so by the close, the 9.4 to a 3.1, which is almost 40 points or $800 a contract, right? So my point behind all that, I can say I didn't have opportunities yesterday, but I did. Right now, I could fall. So now let me bridge that a little bit further, right? I can go back to yesterday's opportunities and say, really, because the market's not as strong as it's been lately, that I'm better off looking for the apex traps and the super tramps, as we call them, right? The super tramps, as we call them, because if I had done that, this is my day yesterday, right? This is so it's got to still be on process. So this is stop one, right? This is trade two. I don't know if this catches, and if it's over New York lunch, it's not. This is trade three, not as good, and it's the afternoon, but that's fine. Trade three. This is trade four. At least to let me escape, right? And then this is trade five. And then in addition, that was to the single prints, which I mentioned in the morning. That was the best location to get a good trade, right? If I look at the short side on the 24th, so some people said, hey, Simon, the short side's working really well, right? So look what's working well there. Now, if I go flip the other way around, same on the 15, trying to bring this back and get enough size on this. I don't think anyone's going to short the open, but that's fine. We can do that. Purple bar down, apex, tiny little extension. You had to take it for 10 points. Stopped. Apex trap right there. I haven't discussed the apex traps in a while, but again, purple bar down, tiny extension, eventually stopped, right? And then what you'll start to notice is if you can get the purple triangle down and it gets apex trap followed by a triangle down, that's where the big extensions are coming from. And that's all right, because that's where the large extensions to the upside are coming from. Then we inverse supernova, star, purple bar down. That's the stop right there. And the only thing it didn't do is hit the top of the channel. Again, when the market's another sign of weakness, right? And then when you look over here, when we reversed back up, if you look, triangle down, small extension. It's hard to stick the short, right? Triangle down, small extension. Finally, triangle down, big extension, and triangle down. No purple bar on either one of those, by the way. And those gave you the biggest extensions. And if you go look, the ones that consistently, of the ones that gave you big extensions, it was on the purple bar that gave you the largest extensions to the downside. And then mentally, I just wasn't ready to take a trade over here, and it pushed out. I should have been. I just wore out myself emotionally. And if you look on ES, same thing, right? If you look on the 5 tick, again, it got choppy. But you'll see the purple bars with the triangles down on them. Out of the fourth channel, this was a stop. That was at 952. But when you get up here after a rotation up, purple bar, that never stopped, actually. That was 818. Gave you the roll down, right? And if you look at the purple bar there, and you can also use the other, if the first bar is purple, then triangle down, that's the other entry on ES that works very well if you want to short. Again, I'm still focused on the longs, but I understand why people want to go short or don't want to go short, right? So for this morning, whether I'm trading ES or NQ, I'd like to see is first of all, either push down into these single prints or push up, push down, then give me a setup to the long side to push to retest yesterday's low. We're opening below yesterday's low, so if we spend a half an hour below yesterday's low and we don't retrap, that would be relatively bearish. It's Fed day. I don't know how the day's going to look if it just is a grinder, right? Or the other thing I want to look at is a push into these unfair prices if I'm shorting and the single prints for rejection out and push lower. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, there's no econ to push it one way or the other, and we'll see if shorts are trapped right out of the gate again and they squeeze them out. And then ES. So ES has a long way to go. I want to check here really quick my data. I have to correct this. Hold on one second here. Correct your charts so they look like this. They change. Did I not just... Oh, I know what the problem is. Sorry. Here. File. It's like this doesn't look like the work I just did. Close chart book. Yes. There we go. Now we have it right. Let me check the profiles again real quick. Sorry, no adjustment there. There's the single prints sitting down there. Okay, that's the target. Excuse me, that's the target back up or back to the other side for the unfair pricing. And then NQ, right click, reset. Let me make sure I have the right number of days on here. Data limiting, bar period. Okay, yes. The target is this lowers a little bit, not much. Here, let's adjust this. Just a tiny bit. Back to your unfair pricing up. And the unfair pricing down just a little bit. And you can see we just opened up underneath prior day's low. They're trying to trap back in. This is the immediate target. Back up. Well, first 15,095, and then this area over here. We'll see if they can get it. Okay, so my goal today is very simple. Not to get agitated, right? I don't even care if I run a trade today. Just let me stay in service of the room, right? I've cut my trade size so I do better. Everyone struggles. I coach people how to get out of the struggling. It's tough, right? This is why you need a third voice when you're struggling to calm you down, because you can't, a lot of times by yourself, you can't see a way out of that mess, right? You just can't, right? So what am I going to focus on today? Well, I want apex traps, right? Until I see the first bar lifting and moving strong, I want apex traps. I'd like some backside tests like this into this area here, this bar with the wick. I will be working that concept at least, right? Where the stops are smaller when it backside tests in, if I get it. Okay, yes, it may be harder to get it, by the way. And then I'm going to target the extensions, but I'm going to lower my exit plan a little bit because I want to make sure that I'm putting profit in. I'm really worried about drawing down in this period when it's slow and grindy. I don't want to use this period of, I don't want to use September to cover August, right? September is usually a pretty good month, right? Especially the last 2 weeks of September. It could stay slow until the second week of September. I don't think it will. I could say, oh, it's going to be great September 1, but really I want to plan the other way. If it's great, I'll make the adjustment, right? But what I don't want to use, October, November, December are my strongest months of the year. It's the year I can really pile on. I've had a great year to this point, right? I don't want to spend my capital in August that I need in September, October, November, December for a strong finish, right? But there's another part of me that wants to make money every single day, and not just a little bit of money, right? And that's going to be my job, is to balance those guys out completely. And I will. I will balance those guys out completely. But it's just going to take me a little bit of work to get it done. Okay? And I will figure out how to get that done. It's just going to take me a little bit of time to get it done. And that's all there is to it. And that's totally fine, by the way, as well, just so you know. It is completely fine to let the market line you up in a way that's productive and profitable. You don't have to do it all at one shot. Okay? You just don't. So let the market work in your favor and then work it from there. Right? So that's what you'll see me doing. I'm going to be playing a little bit with the backside tests of things during the day. You don't have to do it yourself. You can just watch me and go, oh, look, Simon's done this. And does it work or does it not work? I'm all right with that concept or that idea. Right? And then let's just see what happens, how it works, how it goes. Okay, the obvious target is this 15.03.450 that they want to test. We'll see if they can or can't test it. We just don't know yet, right? But we'll find out here soon. Okay, we'll find out. There is no econ to drive the market one way or the other. There just isn't. We're just going to have to see how, if they have too many shorts out of the gate trying to press for that low, or if they are going to squeeze them back up. Okay. So that's my 2 cents. We are underneath. We're about to get, if this bar closes, is an orthodox close underneath the unfair pricing. We'll see what they do. Obviously, that 15.07.350 wants to be tested. I don't take lightly having to confess to the room that I don't think I'm trading well. But I'm not going to go through my old process, which I seem to do every year, which is, hey, let's break out CL. Let's go into, and part of that, I can tell you what drives that. I've explored, and like I said, I think part of the open honesty in the room is important. I do it because I'm afraid I'll lose members, right? And we've built a really strong team, and I go, oh, we're going to have a slow month, right? And I forget to have that same confidence I have in my own trading that I have with the room and in y'all. And then I forget that the other key element that I forget about the room. Look, everyone elects to be in the room, right? I don't have any control over that part, and I've got to remember that part too. I elect what I trade, so I have total control over my trading, right? Every decision, good or bad, is my decision, right? But within the room, right? Within the room, every decision of who stays and who goes is a very personal decision. And besides which, most of people stay in the room for a really long time and do really well, right? So the reason I bring that up is because you got to know what's driving your fear and your anxiety. And that's one of the things that drives my fear and anxiety. Just pure and simple, right? Well, I wonder if there was a news piece that came out. Look at that. That's very interesting. Well, they just popped, too many people popped in on the short side. We just lifted all the way across from 635. We just took that whole thing out in one shot in ES. Not in NQ, but in ES we did. Very interesting. And the setup for that took forever. Purple bar over triangle, and it was prior to the open, so there's no way I would have gotten it. Star down, triangle up, didn't beat the star down on the 5 tick. And all of that is okay, right? So this kind of thing happens out of the blue when there's less volume. So I'm just telling y'all because within all of y'all, so there was someone in the room that took a drawdown when they first started trading with me. It wasn't the fault of the process at all. They just told me, hey, I took a drawdown. I pushed too hard and went on tilt a couple of times. And I told them, hey, just stop worrying about the drawdown and just start trading well. And things stabilize for them, right? That I'm 99% sure they will recover that drawdown, right? Which was substantial for them. And it worked. You need someone to tell you that. And you also got to find out what the fear is. Well, every trade, my analysis of this person was that every trade was to cover the drawdown. Like every single trade had to be enough, like just in a day or a week, I'm going to cover the whole drawdown. But if you'll stop, get your mind around what the fear is, and then actually just execute on the process, your trading will get a lot easier. Anyways, I got to go check if the gate is open real quick. I hope that helps. We'll see if there's any trades. Again, the shorts got buried there underneath prior day's low. That's why you don't short. And you can see the resulting push straight up. There's too many people. We're caught in a place where people are looking for a hard rollover, and they keep getting caught out short. And then we're looking for people who are looking for momentum up on top, and they keep getting caught up on the edge, and it ends up being just a massive balance area. We'll see. I'll be right back. So part of my hypothesis is, first of all, that's an impulse move. We've gone into supernova. The other thing I'm going to start doing is doing a better job of going back to what stage we're in terms of the push. So we're in supernova, right? So until this breaks or we get some new information, that gives a slight edge to the buyers. We do not have an orthodox close over overnight unfair pricing. And then we want to see when they test this if they hold the 1507,350, which puts us back into prior day's low, right? And now this is a test up into this pink bar with a wick. I want to watch how it responds to that, right? That is what I am looking for. Okay, so see how we pushed in here? They got one tick above. That was it against that wick, right? I'm just looking for small clues as I push along. Should I have more orange bars here? Let me make sure. Here, right click, duplicate chart to chart book. Five, two, three, four. Okay. Go. Boom. There we are. Still no orthodox close above, interestingly enough. Which makes me think they're going to come back and test that 1507,350. And then get rid of this. And it looks like they're going to try and squeeze those guys again. What time is it? 8:47. Orthodox close above unfair pricing. Look at that. Zoom. All the way up into the unfair pricing on the other side of the range. And that's just an impressive short squeeze. You know? I'm telling you, it's been like this every day. You can't get bearish and you can't get bullish. It's just not feasible. Look at that. Look at that. All the way across the range. And see, after yesterday's close, you'd be coming in like, oh, it's so mega bearish, right? But you can't. And that's the hard part of this. What's the news, Ronnie? And how'd you get stopped out to the long side? Are you short? And there was news. 9:15. backside test, that should now act as support. Okay, see how it's responding off of these guys right in here? See this? It should hold that, theoretically, that 89. Again, it's only theoretical. And you can see they're trying to hold it. And you can see they're not holding it. And see how sometimes they'll whip underneath? So I'm just studying this, right? It's been a long time since I've scalped backside tests. I just know the ranges collapse, right? I know it can't close underneath here and still work, right? So I'm trying to formulate. I know they're trying to hold it there. I can physically see the absorption, right, in the dome. So I'm just trying to work out the little moving pieces is all I'm trying to do. See that? So I know that from this, and then I also know that because of the lack of wick up here, that it could break through easily. Again, I'm just working through pieces. See on the 15? See how we had this? This is the last wick prior to the high. See how it closes below, comes back, and rejects out of it? That's what I'm working on. Okay? Rejects, comes back down. That's the last wick on the 15. And so I can tell you it does work better on the 15 than it does on the 24. And that's it. That's what I'm working on. You think they're going to come back in and test that? You wouldn't think they would let that slide, but we'll see. And then it also, the other part is it came back into unfair pricing, right? So the 15,131.75 is really the target here, right? And here comes the 9 o'clock. We come for the test of the 15,073. Again, your target again is this 44.50 on ES. Purple bar, triangle down, gave you the roll to the downside here. I'm just pointing out the out pieces of the algos that repeat, right? On the 15, triangle down, purple bar, triangle down, purple bar, triangle down, purple bar. Is this helping, guys, when I'm reading it out like this? Cool. Again, you'll notice there's a wick, this wick to the low is what they're coming into right there. Here, I'll change the color to know that that's not so that's not a zone. That's just a thing. I don't know what else to call it. Sorry. It's just this bar right here, right? It'll usually hold that one bar. If you want a smaller bar, it's it's this on the 15. It starts on the 15. It starts at 15,066.25. Okay, so now I'm going to have to distinguish in colors. So I know that's not a freaking unfair pricing. So I know when it gets to those levels that it tends to counter at that point, just like it did here against this bar. But that, and so it's 73 to 58 on this whole thing. So this is originally designed as a scalping tool, right? Is all it's designed for, that can turn into a bigger trade. So that's the area, and I really don't want it to penetrate by more than a point, or do I wait for a bar to come out that's positive there, or yada yada yada. And then also I kind of want to align it with ES getting to unfair pricing because ES is clearly the stronger, right? I want it in a place where it can get a responsive buy. And my guess is when ES gets here, and Q will get it that 6375. That's a nicer trade because it's a 4 point, 5 point stop. 6.3, 5.8, 6 point stop. So this guy right here should be your resistance back up. Again, I expect it to get pretty slow and grindy in this deal. The problem with the 6.3 is it puts you below the 7.3, right? So see how this isn't matching up here? A lot of times I'll just go, I want it all to coordinate, and if it doesn't all coordinate, I'll just go, you know what? Screw it. I'll let it go until they all match up. So now I have the answer. It lined up off the 24. It gave me that star. Now, see this bar right here? We got the triangle up. It should not invalidate against this bar. I don't know whether I can use this swing or this swing to make the trade work, nor do I want to find out. Meaning, I don't want to use my money to find out. I can't tell, right? So sometimes I can look at it and just go, yeah, that thing's going to pop. And sometimes I look at it and go, I can't tell. So now I'm just going to take careful notes, right? What does it do? Okay, so I know the triangle up when it's within the confine of this bar. I think what I came up with yesterday on my notes is you have to use the low of the bar as the setup. So as soon as that triangle prints, I think you can take it within the top of this bar, right? And so now it's star down, triangle up. But see the triangle up? How it's pretty much equal to this star? I'd completely bail on that trade right now. I'm done, right? Because I've been long 88 to 99. And so I'm separating the two trades out, right? I'd have held this trade if it completely cleared the star down. Like, see how I'm going to have to ticky-tack measure it? Did it beat it by tick or not beat it by tick? I don't want that. I want it to clearly beat. So when I see that, right? So I would have entered just on the idea of triangle up, right? Triangle up within this. Oh, you know what? I'm mistaken. I'm making a mistake. Let me think about this. Oh, no, no, no. Okay, I know what I did. See how if I'm taking it into the backside test of this bar right over here, right? See how it just tagged? That was the bar. It's this bar, the one into the low. Sorry, so let me not confuse it. I apologize. I'm looking at this bar with the wick right here, right? So it starts off as a scalp, right? I'm just trying to get my risk off. I know if I enter at 73, my stop's 58. That's 73, 63, 15 points, right? So from 73, 83, 88, I get my 1-to-1 RR off on that trade. This is scalping, right? But now what I'm doing is I'm going, oh, look, star down. If this bar closes clearly above the star down, now that's a long, right? That's a long for me on a regular setup. And so instead of pulling my my second part of the trade off, I'm going to go, oh, I can push now. But because these were equal, I would have just bailed on the whole thing right there because I know that fails too often. In other words, I'm pushing for the most prime of prime setups, right? And not trying to make everything work. Here's the other thing that I'm leading into my brain. I'm like, surely after the weakness yesterday, we're going to have, we're going to have weakness today. That's not how it works, right? That's not how it works, and I can't allow myself to think those things, right? I just can't. So I have to go and have a proper type of. I have to have a proper type of setup for that trade, so that I can make money off of it without destroying myself, right? That's what has to be the way that I do this, or otherwise I know that I'm in trouble overall, right? So that's how I'm thinking about the trade at the same time, right? I'm thinking, okay, I know what I'm looking for. I know how I'm looking for it. And I just want to match the trade setups together as I'm working through this process. So now what we've done is we've come up, we've backside tested prior day's low, and now they're trying to push out off of prior day's low and push it higher. We'll see if they can do it or not, right? We don't know. And remember, this is still unfair pricing, right? So the risk is you run it to 15,131, right? There's no wick up here to run into on the 24. There is on the 15. There's not on a 24, and it's an unfair pricing. I still want to discipline myself not to trade in unfair pricing, right? That's the trick I'm going to have to deal with, right? And there's the rep. So everyone who came in to look shorting yesterday, after yesterday's move, is now going, oh, now I can short this, right? And they're getting bone crushed. That's what happens, right? And we're traveling all the way to the other side of unfair pricing. So now you've seen how they can work through you and give you a really hard time. And rejected right out of the unfair pricing. See that? Is this making sense to you guys? No, I don't. I'm working through it again this morning. I thought it was too rough, and I came up with a bunch of other ideas afterwards, Tasia. So I'm working on. I'm recording this. Give me just 1 second, please. I'll be right back. Do they shoot the gap again? Okay, rejected out of the unfair pricing, right? First day, I feel like I have some sense of control. I wonder if I did any, if it's just me calming down before I traded, or if like I don't feel like it doesn't feel like it's moving any faster than it did yesterday. Yet my read's a lot clearer. Resistance. This whole thing is unfair. When you come from underneath, Randy came into support, into resistance. Oh, from the overnight. I would, yeah, for me, it's more, I think it's better places. It has higher risk. What I'd rather do is see it close above, push in, push out. Does that make sense? So it's more like the odds of it working versus not working kind of thing. And we're trading inside the range. Like, look where we're trading on the S. So if you're going long, this is the low from the balance right here. That's the low of balance. Okay. Yesterday we broke the low of balance. They just tried to trap back above, and they're trying to hold back in. Overnight, they rejected out trying to trap back in. So what we need to see is them regain, test, push, and get it in a way we can use it. That's how I see it. Here's my chart. So I keep seeing this trade over and over again. See when you get the last bar that has a wick and then the engulfing bar, and it comes back and tests that wick and then lifts. It did it again here. See that? Wick, wick, closes underneath, and it comes back and it tests the exact bottom of that wick right there. After the triangle, it's, oh no, it didn't do it here. Triangle printed. This one triangle printed down and it backside tested. This one triangle printed and it didn't backside test, which is why I think when we hit that, you'll find a response the first time. I'm interpreting this as, oh, the triangle up printed and it came back, but it didn't, because this triangle isn't valid till this bar prints, so it hasn't come back to test this yet. Or the and that was the test off the 1507,350, which was the prior day's low, and we have not tested the 15,034, so that's all very interesting. Correct. And so Ed, I won't come after you. You know the risk now that we've clarified it, right? But in all fairness, Ed, if I would have said, if you came to me and said, "Hey, I had a bad day and I took 5 stops in a row on shorts," right? I'd have said, "Well, that was what you chose to do, was be on the more aggressive side of that trade." And where you have to balance it is the market. Like you can see it really clearly on higher time frames, right? We're making kind of doing this really slow motion down roll, but that'll flip as soon as the market starts ramping to the upside, whenever that happens, right? And then those same shorts that are working now are going to eat your lunch later, right? Time at high, lower highs, bigger time frame. Agreed, right? But when that flips, you've got to flip too. Don't become addicted to making the money off the shorts. That's the trick. Yep. Nvidia's numbers are next Tuesday, and that's either going to make or break the market. Whichever way they respond to it will make or break the market. Not that I'm sure their numbers are fine. So that could either set up for a massive short squeeze into that if we get crushed the next couple of days, or it could set us up for a ramp into the numbers and then crush them afterwards, or set us up for a ramp to the numbers. The numbers are extraordinary, and we just start to rally to new highs from there. That's like the things I've run in through in my head. And I think that's enough on terms of the recording this morning.